Greetings YouTube, and welcome to my latest weapons project. So what I have here is a handle for a 48-inch long square post hole digger replacement handle. So you would use two of these and a post hole digger that is missing a handle or two handles, and then you'd attach them. And these two holes that are already here are for attaching it to a post hole digger. My post hole digger has steel shafts, so I'm not going to have to worry about that. But this is going to make a great club. So what am I going to do with this? Well, see this nice, neat holes? I'm going to make more of them. In fact, I'm going to make 13 on this side, and then 12 on this side, because I'm going to offset it to the middle, so they're going. And then we're going to cut these threaded rods, which are I think they're either 3/8 diameter with a 16 threads. It's called a 3/8 16 threaded rod. And I bought this new. I got these at an estate sale, so I paid like probably less than $1 a piece for these. And normally a 36-inch threaded rod is worth like $3 to $6. Depends on what diameter you're doing. Sometimes they're more expensive if they're really big ones. So these are really cheap. I'm going to need 25 pieces to make all of this. So 13 holes on one side, 12 on the other, that's 25. So how am I going to cut that? That's a lot of cutting, haha. So we're gonna walk over here, we're gonna walk across my shop, and here we have how I am going to cut these. So what I did is I made a stop block. Now the stop block is made out of a heavy duty magnet that is like the kind of magnet you'd use for like mounting an antenna on a car or something like that. You wouldn't want to use this one because it's got no cover on the bottom, but that's what it's for. The hole in the middle was smaller than when I drilled it out, and I made it a 3/8 inch because I just used more of the 3/8 inch shaft I already had. And then I turned up the ends. I got two nuts, one on the inside, one on the outside to hold the shaft in place. Then I have two nuts here holding this metal bracket. Now this metal bracket is a reuse. I made this for a project in my upstairs in the apartment that was designed to hold a cat bowl and a tray for cat bowls in it, and it was way overbuilt and it was poorly designed, and in retrospect I'm like kind of ashamed of myself that I actually went to the trouble of designing it. It was not elegant. I have since replaced it with something which is much simpler and more elegant and easier to clean. So what I did is I repurposed them. I put a hole here using my Blair Rotobroach kit, and then those two holes were already there from the previous project. And then I put this wooden block in here because I needed to bridge the gap. Because this thing would only, the metal bit would only come up to about here. It wouldn't come all the way out to where I needed it to. And this is just a scrap piece of wood from another project that I did. I don't even remember what the heck it was. Might have been something for the porch or something. And of course, they just held in with screws, so if I ever want to remove that, it's wicked easy to remove it. So I can use just the metal. And one of the reasons I wanted it set up this way is that it's held in place with nothing but a magnet, and the magnet is not even all the way on the filing cabinet which the chop saw is mounted to. Which means if something binds up, that's going to fall off the machine. And it's not going to go very far because it's too damn heavy. It's just going to fall on the floor. So I'm intentionally building a failure feature into the process to trying to ensure that I will not get hurt. So now I need to cut 25 of these, and I hope I've got enough rod, I think I do, to get me the pieces I need, and I'll show you what I'm going to do after I cut them. So first I've got to cut them. I'm going to put my headphones back on, because I cut the last one, I'm like, why is it so loud? Oh yeah, you took your headphones off. Here, check your hearing, folks. It's a one-way trip. You damage hearing, it doesn't ever come back. So take care of your ears. So I've got my safety glasses on, I got my apron on, my legs are covered, I got shoes on, and now I'm going to go put my headphones on, and I'm going to start cutting things. Unfortunately, when I start this saw up, it's going to make very loud, and I apologize. Did you see how the lights dimmed? This thing is drawing a lot of power. doesn't blow a circuit when I do it, but it makes the lights dim, which is bad. I really should get my shop rewired for a higher amperage. I have not done that. This is the only device I have that draws that much power. Everything else I got, like my shop vac and my sander and my grinding wheel and my drill press and stuff, all of those things draw much less power. This draws a lot. And I've got a brand new blade in there. I just bought a blade. It took me 2 trips today because the first time I bought the blade designed for the gas-powered cutters and not the one designed for chop saws. There's a difference in the hole diameter. The blade themselves are both 14 inches. So yeah, that took 2 trips to the hardware store. If you can get out of doing a project and only going to the hardware store twice, you're fortunate. So I'm hoping I don't have to go again. I've got nuts and washers, and I think I've got everything I need to get this project done. So right now I'm going to cut all this up because this is the noisy, messy, ugly part. Drilling the holes in the wood should be relatively simple and not difficult. We'll find that out. I've got spade bits, which should make the job go pretty easy. Alrighty, so enough talking now. I'm going to start cutting stuff so that I can get all the little points I want so I can make a Wasteland Wolf's Tooth Club. Change of plans. It was taking too long doing the other method with the chop saw. So I thought I'd try it with my angle grinder. And the angle grinder is going a heck of a lot faster. So that's what I'm doing. It also makes this entire project lower tech, because angle grinders are not expensive. You can pick one up at Harbor Freight for 30 bucks. You can pick up a good one at like a big box store for probably 60. So I'm getting there. I'm not done yet. I think I've got 18 of these done. So I need 25. So I got to get a few more to cut. So I'm just marking it off. I'm using one sample. I'm using that as a measure. Line it up, mark it, cut it, line it up, mark it, cut it. And even stopping the angle grinder after each one, because I'd have to stop the chop saw anyway, I'm getting this done faster. And it's also quieter, and it's not drawing as much power from the house. So sometimes a lower tech solution is the best solution. I'm also getting more out of the rod, because that's all that's left of the rod. So I'm coming right down to the nub. Now I'll keep those. I'll probably use them for something. You can always use make a bolt. But yeah, sometimes a simple solution is your best solution. So about 45 minutes at a belt sander, I now have all of my sections in here. All of my teeth of my Wolf Tooth Club got points on them. No two are alike. Some are kind of rounded. Some have got flats on them. The angles are not consistent even from end to end for the most part, but they're all got points on them, and take my word for it, when I'm done, they're going to do the job in question. So this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. This is the 2 holes that were already in the handle, and so that's what it's going to look like when I'm done. There's just going to be 25 of these when I'm finished, set up like this. I've had it for the day. I need to go upstairs and clean up, and it's almost time to feed the cats. In fact, I think, yep, fat cats are 10 minutes away from starving to death. Because if you don't have the food out there, but at 5 o'clock, they act like they're starving to death. So there's my nuts and my washers all set, and there's a wrench. I'll need a second wrench so I can get some opposition on there, so I can tighten them down. This is just pretty much finger tight, because I just wanted to give you a brief preview of what this is going to look like when I'm finished. And I really like the way that looks. I think I got the right diameter. These are 3/8 for the scale of the shaft itself. So I'm quite happy with the way that looks. And with the coming off in different angles like that, when I get done, they're all going to be different angles. That's going to look very gnarly, almost thorn-like. Maybe I should call it the Thorn Club. Wasteland Thorn Club. I don't know. We'll see how it looks when I'm finished and make a decision about what's the best name for it. But we're not there yet. So now that this stage is done, all the metal work is complete. So next I'm going to have to lay out all the holes. It can be a pain in the butt. And then put marks on every single one so that I have the location I want for each brad point bit to go through. And I'll probably drill all the way through and just to the brad point, just poke out one side. And then when I'm done, turn it over and go through the other side, and that way I will minimize split out, because that's always ugly. And I know it's a post-apocalyptic weapon, but forgive a maker for feeling that there are certain details that he wants to get right. All right, so I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll work on this, and I think this will be wrapped up in probably about another hour and a half, and I'll be finished. I think I've got about, I don't know, 3 hours into this total already. So this is not quite an afternoon project, but close to it. So far, most of the projects I've worked on have, for the most part, been short term. That's intentional, because I want to have a sense of accomplishment that I've achieved a goal, because part of this is dealing with the stress and tension of making this stuff in the midst of a pandemic. Yeah. Alrighty. So enough blathering for the moment and you looking at a single tooth on my club. We'll be back tomorrow, and it's going to be drilling a whole lot of holes. We're back the next day with a fresh battery, and we're finished. I just finished laying out the hole. So I used my handy dandy pair of Vernier Calipers, which are so useful. If you do not have a pair of these in your shop, get a pair. You can get a pair of inexpensive plastic ones, but I recommend, if you can, get yourself a pair of metal ones like these. This is got a analog dial. These aren't digital. And I've been using this particular pair since 1983 or 4, I think. This is the same pair I've had. I used them at work, and when I left, they came home with me, and I've been using them ever since. An invaluable tool. It's not just for machinists, man. You can use these for so many things. For example, laying out a line all the way down the center of this with those calipers, then I was able to figure out the exact distance by measuring the diameter hole and the distance between them to figure out the center, then used same piece of measurements to figure out the distance between the edge of this hole and this, which would be the center of the next hole. And then I used that to lay out everyone following that. And it's, in case anyone cares, the distance is 1.67 inches. So this is each of these little dots you see, which I made with my awl, and this hammer, which happens to be bronze. It's the closest hammer I had, so I used that one. And then I also laid them out on the other side. And these, I used the same measure. I used the same vernier calipers to figure out where this is by taking a measurement from here, figuring out where the center would be, laying that down, and then again 6.7 inches all the way down. So you got 12 on this side, and you got 13 on this side. So now I got to set up a 3/8 inch brad point bit in my drill press and start drilling. Here's the setup I'm using for drilling these holes. So these are the ones I've already got done, and I've drilled almost all the way through, and just the tips coming out of the bottom, and I'll clean that up when I'm done. But I'm using a clamp here. It's a one-handed clamp. It's an Irwin quick clamp, which is just so great. This lever right here unlocks it, and this clamps it. So darn useful. You just touch that, it'll pop it open, I can take it off, put it down. And the reason I'm doing this is that I can get in here and hold this with my hand, but this is taking the bulk of the weight off of me. So all I'm doing is making sure that everything is steady and in place. Technically, I could probably put one on either side, but it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt because I'd have to put the clamp upside down so that it doesn't interfere with my, with my handle here on the drill press. But this makes it a lot steadier and a lot safer. So when you're drilling holes like this, even though I don't have this going high RPM, you still got to be careful, because I drill mostly metal on this drill press. So I tend to have the RPMs low on my drill press. It's not going real fast. If I were doing a lot of wood, I'd change my belts up top and make it go faster. But just like I said, be careful when you're doing stuff like this, because you can get hurt. If this would slip while I was drilling it, my hand could potentially get in there, or the bit could grab this and it could move it towards my body. Admittedly, not fast, but still, at the least, I'd hurt my piece, and I don't want to do that, even if I didn't get hurt. So when you're doing stuff, clamp it down and try to be as safe as you can. 23 holes later, we're done. All the holes have been drilled. I actually had to go up to a 7/16 bit as opposed to a 3/8 because the 3/8 was so tight. I was afraid I was gonna have to hammer them in, and I didn't want to ruin the points on each of the spikes I'm putting in there. So I went to 7/16. It's a very slight difference. One second, I'll show you. So there's a slight difference, but these are going to be held in with washers and a nut on either end, so you're not going to get any movement when I'm done. They're going to be rock solid. So now that I've got this done, now it's time to do the assembly. So I'm going to probably put this, I'll put this in my vice grip. I put this in my vice along the shaft, and then start doing one set, then rotate it and do the other set, because that'll be easier. Actually, it would be easier if I start at an angle and just work my way down. That may be easier, because that way I'm not having to fight. I'm not having to fight with things getting in my way, because if I do all one side and all the other, well, I have stuff in my way in my hands. I'll see which works better. But the next thing you see should be a completed wolf's tooth club. Well, folks, here we are. Here is my completed wolf's tooth club. And this just may be the most beautiful and deadly thing I have ever made. I am so unbelievably happy with the result. This thing is just monstrous. It's beautiful. I'm going to have to get another one of these handles, and I'm going to make another Tetsubo. Because if I can do this here, this way, cutting straight pieces will be, easy as pie. This is going to be awesome. Get some cap nuts. That's going to be the expensive part. Cap nuts are not cheap. But yeah, I'm going to have to use cap nuts on my Tetsubo. But that'll be awesome. Have two of these side by side. I also have a small hook installed at the bottom, because I'm going to need to hang this thing. There's no other way to store it. I mean, it's going to be absurd to put this any other way. It's going to cut anything or hit anything. It's dangerous. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this, man. This thing is dangerous. I am so happy. Okay, now time to go outside and get some pictures. This is just great. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you like my new toy.